everyone. Buenas tardes, buenos dias. My name is Christian Lamont. I am with Latino Outdoors, and I'm so excited to be here today speaking to Albert and Hannah as part of our Orgullosamente Outdoors Pride and Beyond series, where we celebrate all things LGBTQ plus and our stories, our history, what is coming down the way, and what important work is happening on the ground right now. And so I'd like to introduce Albert and Hannah, if you want to say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone. My name is Albert Arévalo. Use he, him, his pronouns with Latino Outdoors.
Hi, I'm Hannah Malvin with Pride Outside, she, her. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. All right, Albert and Hannah, can you tell us both a little bit about yourselves and your organization? Can we start with Hannah?
Sure. So I founded Pride Outside in 2016 to connect the LGBTQ community around the outdoors. I realized there was lots of great work going on across the country, engaging the LGBTQ community outdoors, but not everyone knew each other. Not everyone was working together. And I was interested in helping raise the voices of the queer community up to the federal land management agencies, conservation nonprofits, outdoor industry. So was interested in gathering people to connect around the outdoors together, and then also building representation and inclusion initiatives with across the sector.
Wonderful. Well, it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Albert, how about you?
Sure. Albert Arévalo again for folks. I am originally from Texas and have been involved with Latino Outdoors for a couple of years now. But the organization is an organization that inspires, connects, and engages the Latinx community. So I've been very fortunate to work with a group of volunteers in the DMV area to do just that and uplift the stories of not only Latinx individuals, but queer individuals as well. I'm openly gay, so always excited to kind of connect with individuals that are queer, and also organizations like Hannah's, which are amazing.
Well, it's great to have you both here, and thank you for telling us about yourselves, a little bit about your organization. I know we've got some questions, and we'll learn more about you and your organizations as we continue. But I think I wanted to start a couple of months ago. I was scrolling through, and I see this amazing Nurture and Nature series with Pride Outside and Latino Outdoors DMV, and it just seemed like such a fantastic idea and collaboration. One of those I always like to think oh, that makes sense. Why haven't we done this before? So I was wondering, Hannah, could you tell us a little bit more about the Nature and Nurture series, or Nurture and Nature series? What kind of events you hosted?
Yeah, so these are hikes in Rock Creek Park in Washington, D.C., and well-being workshops. So I'm trained in positive psychology, the scientific study of well-being. So we get together and we chat about a topic, go over some of the research and tips for being able to boost your well-being on different topics. And then we go for a hike in Rock Creek Park in our beautiful city here. And it's the idea is sort of to connect or to boost physical, mental, and social health of the LGBTQ community in DC. And it's pretty fun to get to learn a little bit about these topics, chat about how it shows up in folks' lives, and in particular in the queer community, and then get to go on our little pride parades through the woods together. And it's been so fun. So this is our second time doing it. We're very grateful for the support from the National Park Foundation for it. And we're excited this year to have Latino Outdoors partnering with us. It's been really fun to get to work with Albert and the gang to expand our crew.
I love that. And you mentioned, the pride marches through the woods. That's fantastic. That's exactly right. So Albert, I've got a question. How did this happen? What was the what was the inspiration? Who reached out to who? Like the emails? Like I want to hear all about that stuff. To me, that's some of the most exciting, like building those relationships. Like how did that start? Who started it? Could you share a little bit more with us about that?
Sure. Well, full disclosure, Hannah and I have known each other for a couple of years. And I consider myself very lucky to be a friend, but also a supporter of Pride Outside. She had reached out to us about the opportunity, and you said it really, plainly, it makes sense. Hannah had reached out, and it was just as simple as me saying yes, aligning our calendars, and then kind of seeing how we can kind of collaborate together. And it's been a great treat, kind of working alongside Hannah, drawing community along these important topics, and using the outdoors as a wonderful venue to have this space and these conversations regularly, which was truly magical.
And can I jump in there? It's always fun to partner with Albert, and the intersectionality is meaningful. We want to be representing across the full spectrum of the queer community. So working with some identity groups can be a great way to connect with different folks. And then also we try to focus not just on outdoorsy queer folk, people who are already obsessed with the outdoors, but we have people come, for their first hike sometimes, and then their second hike. And we also brought in like a queer trivia group in the area, and a group called Q Street of LGBTQ political professionals that we were partnering with too. So it's always fun to partner to get more folks outside and to like get into the broader reaches of the queer community.
I was going to ask, actually, like you'd mentioned the National Park Foundation, you mentioned Q Street. Like, are there any other identity groups or folks that you all like love partnering with or that have been part of this? Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, Rock Creek Conservancy has been great, and the National Park Service. We often like getting like warm greetings from a park ranger, a staff member of those organizations to show that our community is welcome in the outdoors. That can be meaningful.
Albert, anybody you wanted to shout out?
Sure. So while I love all public lands equally, which is very much true, but I love the National Park Service especially a little more. So it's always a treat to work in a national park with organizations that work on becoming stewards for public lands, like the National Park Service and Rock Creek Conservancy. So it's truly special to have them, and a lot of the partners that we work with consistently is a testament of our true allies that we have within our local community, which is truly special.
I love that, and I know that you do a lot of the ground level. You're from like participant to organizer to advocate to bridge builder and connector. So I know what you're talking about here, Albert. And Hannah, like, if you're working with Albert, I know that sings praises to you and your organization. So back to the scrolling and the seeing the Nurture and Nature series. There's you all had themed hikes or themed days, and you did it like you spaced it apart. Like it wasn't just everything in one time. And you spoke on some pretty like I think we all can agree important themes and focuses. Some that you don't always hear about when you go hiking or when you go out to the outdoors, but are absolutely important in our day-to-day lives. Can either one of you, whoever wants to dive in first, can you walk us through the concepts of the growth mindset, stress management, self-compassion, and gratitude?
Sure. So we had 4 events this spring, and we have 4 coming up this fall. So stay tuned for the schedule on those. So the first one was growth mindset, which is Carol Dweck's discovery that people's theories about their own intelligence have a significant impact on their motivation, effort, approach to challenges, and their ultimate success. And she differentiates between fixed mindset and growth mindset. So fixed mindset is if you believe that your intelligence, talents, and abilities are fixed. You have it or you don't. You're like good at soccer, good at math, or you're not good at it. And growth mindset is that you believe that you can get better, that through hard work, good strategies and input from others, you can learn and grow and expand your abilities. And so when you give yourself the chance to operate with growth mindset and give the people around you at work or in your community the opportunity to improve and get better, then there's just so many more opportunities to expand and to grow and to not just be stuck at what your initial effort was. So we get into some of the research on that and some tips for how to live into that for yourself and for the people around you. So that's growth mindset. We get into stress management, where we talk about completing the stress cycle. So that is when stressors activate a stress response in your body. It gets into the importance of then getting that out of your body to not let it build up. And really physical activity is the number one way to just get it out of you. But we talk about different ways to handle that and to complete the stress cycle. And then we talk about different self-talk strategies and different mindsets for being able to manage stress in your life. One of which I find really interesting that in the peak performance context, the stress is enhancing mindset. So sort of how can you use it? How can you put it to work to get towards what you're achieving? So that tends to be a popular one that we got into. And then we got into self-compassion, which is basically instead of mercilessly judging yourself and criticizing yourself for different like inadequacies or shortcomings, it's being kind to yourself and being kind and understanding when you're confronted with personal failings. And we really know how to do this. We tend to be able to do it for other people in our lives, for our friends. We know like the tone of voice to use. We know the things to say, but we don't always apply that same kind of support for ourselves. We tend to be pretty hard on ourselves in ways that we might not let other people be that hard on us. So that's, I think, a really meaningful one to get into. And then gratitude, which can, in positive psychology, it can be one of the most effective ways to boost our well-being, like really simple ways of just practicing gratitude or being more attuned to that. And I love what we did in this one. We came together and practiced some gratitude fluency. So like being able to express your gratitude with more nuance, or instead of just saying like, thank you, I appreciate it. Like really, I brought out like a crate of books and we were looking at the acknowledgements from different authors for how they thanked the different people in their lives at this huge moment of putting out a book. And it was fun to sort of see some of the different ways that they expressed gratitude to the people important to them and who had supported them in that. And it was fun to talk about sort of what resonated for us. And for all of these, we're sitting at like picnic tables in Rock Creek Park having these chats before we head out into the woods. So it tends to be pretty pleasant discussions, but also nice for folks to be able to ask questions about how to live into some of these concepts, and also to share about sort of things that work for them or things that are on their minds about how to be good to themselves in these different ways.
That's fantastic. Like, that's amazing. Wow. I will. Yeah. Yeah. No. I love all of that. And Albert, it must have been really interesting for you, like as an outings leader, somebody who organizes hikes, to kind of take all this knowledge and then fit it in within the framework of like taking people outdoors. We're always learning, like, pick up your trash, leave no trace, recreate responsibly. But this kind of knowledge, was there a way that you like introduced this to the participants that you felt like kind of flowed very smoothly, maybe from what you do regularly, which is take people out on hikes and you teach them some things? Was this similar to that, or were there unique challenges or rewards that you found to this?
I think having a practitioner in positive psychology like Hannah present is extremely helpful, because I think something that we try to focus in our region is health, and not just physical health, but mental health. And I think, these themes were extremely important. An application that, really kind of clicked for me was when Hannah was talking about the fixed and the growth mindset. When we're in the outdoors, the fixed mindset could be used as an example of, well, I don't want to go outside. I've never done this. I don't feel comfortable. The growth mindset is like, okay, let me go out for the first time and explore. And I think having organizations like Pride Outside and Latino Outdoors, having consistency in programming, a shared community that, really is welcoming, really brings out growth in people to kind of, let down their guard, break bread in a sense, and kind of connect with one another and be in communion with the outdoors, with, a group of new people that could potentially be your friends. And hopefully towards the end, they will be your friends. And I think that's something that I feel is extremely beneficial, is actually having structure in regards to like mental health. I think we talk about it. And even like self-compassion, like Hannah was saying, like, I think it's easier said than done, and actually having a little lecture beforehand and actually getting some evidence so we can be more self-aware is something that I found extremely beneficial. And I hope the people that attended our programs, can continue practicing these, strategies and techniques, not just personally, but also something that they can do in the outdoors as well.
Fantastic. And I love this. I hope that this can be a framework, for Park RX kind of movements and prescriptions, and really like emphasizing the physical, yes, and mental health benefits of being in community, being outdoors, and being guided by somebody. We can tell ourselves, like, do your best, learn this stuff, read it, take it in. But like Albert, you said, like having somebody talk about it beforehand, and then being able to like think about how that applies to yourself, or having a little evidence, like, it's a game changer, really. Thank you both, honestly, for doing this work. Like, it's so important. Like, I would love to see this be, countrywide, nationwide, international. Like, it's that important. So thank you both for doing this.
Shout out to Hannah. I think she was the mastermind and the pillar to kind of structure this. I think it was extremely, easy. It was an easy lift for us, but it was actually really humbling for us to kind of be present and, also take the backseat and be a learner.
I love that. And shout out. Yes, exactly. The express gratitude right there.
Awesome.
So So I had a quick question. Was there a moment, I don't want to say favorite, but was there a meaningful moment, one that stands out to you both or individually, that from this series that you all did, that you're like, this hit me in the feels, or this hit the right way, or this was impactful and I took it away and I keep thinking about it? Anything that you'd like to share about that?
I can jump in. I know it's always nice when people say like, "Oh, everyone should learn this stuff," or like, "Oh, I learned the thing," or I like put into practice what we did from last time. So that's always really nice to hear. And once someone missed the workshop portion of the self-compassion workshop, or of the self-compassion event, and arrived just in time for the hike, and so she was mad at herself that she had slept through it. And she said, "Oh, I'm so mad at myself that I missed the self-compassion workshop." And everyone like at once went, "No, self-compassion," like encouraging her to bring self-compassion to herself. So it felt like people sort of putting it into practice right away, like having a common vocabulary for it, and sort of helping encourage other people in the community to be good to themselves. And so that felt really, really sweet, like a quick, immediate application.
I love that. Albert, how about you?
I think the gratitude portion, I think that was really great. Having the examples of, authors kind of providing thanks and shout outs to people that made their works a possibility. I think that's very important in gratitude. I think, talk is cheap, but when you put it into words, into paper, into action, I think that's something that really makes gratitude special. And it's something that is, impactful and important. And I think that's something that personally, I think, when we, say thank you to organizations, to partners, to collaborators, to, participants, I think it's wonderful, but we want to make sure that, we're actually providing them, meaningful experiences. So I think the gratitude portion was great, but all of them, of course, were extremely wonderful. And seeing people consistently coming to the series was wonderful.
So speaking of gratitude, is there a place in nature or in the city, like I live in a city, like it could be a tree, it could be any place outdoors, outside, that helps bring you a sense of peace and gratitude when you go outdoors, someplace that you're like, this is my spot, this helps ground me. Hannah?
I used to lead canoe trips up in Canada over college summers, and I love Algonquin Park. That's I love it up there, and like the pace of being on a canoe trip. But I think this summer in DC, my respite is going to be the splash pad across the street from my house.
How about you, Albert?
Anything that's near. I think the importance and value of nearby nature is wonderful. I think of like my trips to like big national parks like Big Bend or Yosemite as a dessert. I might not have dessert all the time, but when I do, it really is a treat. But I want to have, my protein, my vegetables on the regular, because that makes me healthy. And I think that's what nearby nature is you want to make sure that you're fueling yourself with things that are close by. Then when you get to enjoy those like outer reach places, it really becomes a treat. So for me, like anywhere that's close by, and yesterday it was, just a regional park that was 15 minutes away that it's close, but we've never visited until yesterday. So once the rain passes in the area, we'll take our dogs again and go visit it again. So yeah, anything that's near for me.
I love that. Okay. So then, this is part of our Orgullosamente Outdoors celebration. And we really, really honestly feel that it's, Pride is an important month. June is an important month. but this is year round. This is, it can't just be confined to 1 month. Same way as mental health awareness in May cannot just be confined to 1 month. It doesn't end on the 31st. That being said, we are using this month to celebrate and to highlight and to speak up. So could you both share with me, with us, what does pride, or orgullo, which is pride in Spanish, what does that mean to you? Hannah?
I think about the process of going from self-discovery to self-acceptance to self-love with queer identity. So sort of figuring out that I was a lesbian and like making sense of that and joining in with the community, connecting, like finding my place, and like connecting with other people and loving who I am. That's what comes up for me.
How about you, Albert?
While they may be buzzwords, but it really is like equity and justice. Like we are, we exist, 365 days out of the year. And, pride is something that we carry on a regular basis. So actually having the opportunity to be in spaces with organizations that are, truly welcoming are great. So pride really means is just a sense of belonging, a sense of pride. Pride is pride for me. So actually having the opportunity to be one's authentic self is something that is special for me.
Fantastic. Thank you both for sharing that. And then I wanted to talk about Pride Outside and the summit and everything and what's next. Like Hannah, the floor is yours. Tell us more about Pride Outside. How can folks learn more about it? What's coming up? How can we share the enthusiasm and the joy and everything that you're sharing with us today?
Awesome. So folks can sign up for our newsletter at prideoutside.net/join, or you can find it through prideoutside.net. And so here are the things coming up. In the fall, we're going to have the second round of this series. So we'll have 4 more events with the well-being workshops and the hikes. We will also, so we co-organized the LGBTQ Outdoor Summit along with Out There Adventures. So keep an eye out for that in November this year. This is going to be our 5th summit, bringing together LGBTQ environmental professionals to boost representation and inclusion across the environmental sector. So that's always a lot of fun. And we're going to be at Estes Park this year. So at YMCA of the Rockies, gorgeous location, as a pre-summit or a pre-conference for the Association of Experiential Education. So stay tuned for registration on that. And you can check that out at lgbtqoutdoorsummit.com. And we will also be launching a group. So for LGBTQ employee resource groups at environmental organizations. So for LGBTQ affinity spaces at work in the environmental world, we're going to be bringing together a community of practice for those leaders, for the LGBTQ ERG leaders. So really excited to pull together a space for support and connection and resources for those folks stepping up to do that really important, often difficult work. So really excited to be launching that.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you for sharing all of that with us. We will be sharing on our platforms as well. Like, that sounds amazing. So one last question, and back to acknowledgments and gratitude and all those things, but this is self-gratitude and self-acknowledgement. There's a lot, and we've all got it going on in our lives, but what is something that both of you are particularly proud of, some, like something that you want to give yourself a pat on the back for, that, if something that you want to celebrate yourself for. And I know this is putting you all on the spot, but I also deeply care and want to hear. Hannah?
Oh, I need a second.
Okay. Albert, do you got anything?
Sure. I think finishing up a master's program, I think that's something that for anybody watching, I think that's something that, I never thought I could do. And I am a stubborn person by nature. So it took me a couple of shots to get into a program, but actually getting into a program, finishing it, and then graduating, I think that was something that is something I'm really proud of as a recent achievement, and definitely comes to mind. So yeah, thank you for reminding me of that.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Hannah?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I started a business a few years back. I have a career coaching and workplace culture consulting business, and I'm proud that I've built that out, and always love the chance to work with organizations on making work more equitable, effective, and enjoyable.
That's fantastic. Mine is that I get to speak to not to be cheesy, but to inspirational and hardworking and decent and good human beings like you two, and that I get to share that with my community. That brings me joy. That's something that I'm just a fly on the wall, but this is one of my great joys. So I really appreciate you both. Thank you for doing this work. Thank you for sharing about the work with us. We can't wait to learn more about the LGBTQ Outdoor Summit. We can't wait to hear more about the following series. And I know this is just one of more conversations that hopefully we can have in the future. Hannah, you've got family with Latino Outdoors. Albert, you are family. So thank you both so much for being a part of this, and might be a little early, but happy Pride.
What a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Yeah.
Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you.